Hey everybody, this is Mike back with the second to last, the penultimate episode of the Top 100, looking at games 40 through 21. And let's just get right to it. These are the cream of the crop for my taste at least, and there's less nostalgia picks in here as well, only a couple. But yeah, let's get to them. So first at number 40 is a great competitive game, Claustrophobia. This is a 1v1 game where one player controls a group of prisoners going into hell, basically, and another player controls the demons attacking them. It's very much an asymmetric game where the one side has this very interesting activation system with dice and wounds, like blocking off actions, and then the demons have their own interesting boards. So I love the asymmetry. I love the scenario variety. I had the original release. I think this got reprinted by Monolith, I want to say. And to my knowledge, there's no official solo mode. Hey, if there is, let me know. Or if there's a good BGG variant, because I still own this one. But yeah, so I like asymmetric games. I like 1v1 games. This one actually reminds me a lot of Space Hulk, and I kind of like it better. But it's a similar kind of go into the depths. You're probably going to die. Hordes of enemies coming after you. It's a very similar feel. But yes, Claustrophobia, my number 40, is great. Next at number 39 is another Czech Game Edition games. You know, I like these. And this one is Letter Jam. And yeah, it does feel a little weird me saying it to put Letter Jam above some of the meatier Czech Game Edition games. But I love, well, actually, no, I don't. I don't love word games, and I love Letter Jam anyway. I do love cooperative deduction. I talked about that previously, and this is maybe my favorite in that genre. If you don't know the basics of the game, it's sort of Hanabi-ish in that all the cards are facing out, away from you, and they each have a letter on them, and the players take turns, or in whatever order they want, giving words that use the letters to help you figure out what your letter might be. Like if the word is, I don't know, blank AVA, then you're like, oh, is it lava or Gava? No, I think it's just lava in that case. But yeah, so you're trying to give clues to help each other out. Everyone is involved the entire time. Literally, you're always doing stuff. It can take a little bit of explaining to help people learn the basics of the game. But yeah, I absolutely love Letter Jam, and they recently started an online implementation, so go check that out. But great game. That's my number 39. Next to number 38 is one of my favorite cooperative and solo deck builders of all time. This is Heroes of Tennefer. And this is a push your luck deck builder where you reveal 3 cards at a time, and then you choose whether you want to use them or not. But when you go through your entire deck, you can't fight in the dungeon anymore. It's very random. It can be very challenging. It's an incredibly hard game unless you play on the easiest difficulty setting. But I just absolutely love it. The variety in the characters, the 0 to hero way your deck grows. Now, it is pretty random how you build your deck. It's a lot like Warp's Edge in that way, in that you are getting cards by killing enemies. The enemies you defeat become the cards. But besides that, I just love the play of this one. Great tension, great quick play style. It is fun co-op working together to add up your cards to do stuff. So that is Heroes of Tennefer, my number 38. Next, at number 37, kind of a blast from the past, is Blue Moon. This is a Reiner Knizia game. I only played, I think it was Cosmos when they printed it, but then Fantasy Flight came out with a version. So mine was a version with the giant cards, not the regular size cards, the ones that it's impossible to find sleeves for. So this one is a great, for me, 1v1 game with asymmetric faction decks. And you're basically trying to build up numbers without getting too high, and you have to match each other's numbers, but then you can change which suit you're playing into. So it almost has a trick-taking-ish feel to it a little bit. And again, the factions are quite varied in the powers they bring to bear. The art and style of the game are beautiful. And big thing for Blue Moon is that it was one of the first games my wife and I played extensively. And actually, I've tried to cull it several times over the years, and she says no. So it's still sitting in some random box somewhere in my house. But yeah, that's my number 37, Blue Moon. Next, number 36 is Cloudspire, another chip theory game. This is a big sort of MOBA-ish, tower defense kind of game with combat and skirmish stuff going on. It's competitive, it's solo, it's cooperative, it's awesome. The only reason that it's so low, because really this is one of my favorite designs at 36, is that it's such a beast to get to the table. The solo can be tough to run. The co-op scenarios are so difficult to play because everyone has to really understand these really complex rules quite a bit. So yeah, if this game was a little bit easier to table, I think it would be in my top 20. But either way, I love the variety of play here. The factions are so different and so cool. The scenarios are crazy. The solo play is really just beautiful. And actually the competitive play is even better. So this is an awesome game if you like kind of army management and faction things and area control and tower defense and MOBAs, any of that stuff. My number 36, Cloudspire. And then for my number 35, I mentioned Tennefer being one of my favorite cooperative deck builders. This is maybe the other one, Battle for Greyport. This is in the Red Dragon Inn universe. universe. This game very happily has gotten a recent like boost from Slugfest Games. They've printed more, they've added another expansion because it's a game that needed more content. So I'm very happy about that. But this is a deck builder where the deck building is really controlled. You just have these coins and you get to add cards consistently every turn. It's got some dice-based combat. There can be some luck in like which cards come out of the market. And honestly, the deck building is not the strongest thing. But if you like tactical play and like combining your cards together, and this is another one where every player is involved all the time because you can all play cards on each other's turns and you got to all like work together to defeat the enemies and protect each other. This one is amazing for cooperative play. Solo is a little bit tough actually because you have to like multi-hand 2 or even 3 hands, and that's kind of a lot. Solo is tough for this one actually because you have to multi-hand 2 or even 3 hands, and that's quite a lot. So this is one I pretty much only play 2 or even 3 player plus. But if you have that group together, this one is awesome for tactical skirmish coolness with cards. That's my number 35, Red Dragon Inn Battle for Greyport, if I got the whole name right. Next at 34 is one that got added to my house maybe like 6 months ago. I'd never played it, even though I saw it at a lot of conventions, and that is Klask. This is a dexterity game, which usually I don't like very much. And specifically, if you haven't seen it before, you have a board with this like little puck kind of thingy on it, and you've got a moving piece that's underneath the board, and you're hitting the thing with your piece, so like it's magnetizing to something on top of the board, but then you have a piece of wood blocking you from going to the other half, to your opponent's half of the board, and then these little white magnets on the board that if they grab onto you, then you lose the point automatically. And yeah, this one is frenetic, crazy fun. It's easily my favorite dexterity game of all time. It feels a lot like table hockey, I guess, but better, or air hockey, I should say. It's very air hockey-esque, but yeah, this is great. If you haven't played Klask, like next time you go to a convention where they just have all these tournaments, just give it a try. It's a ton of fun. And that's my number 34. Then at number 33, this is like the deck builder portion of the list, I guess. I have Core World. This is a 2+ competitive player deck building game, but with the Nemesis expansion, it does have solo play. This one has great expansions to go along with it. And this is in the vein of deck builders like Imperium, Classics, and Legends, in that it is very thinky. The combos can be amazing. You have limited actions. You're not just like kind of blindly playing your 5 cards and like, whatever, I got 4 money, I buy this card. No, it is way thinkier than that, way more complex. The Nemesis solo mode is excellent if you want to play it solo. So yeah, this is one of my highest recommended deck building games, as long as, again, you don't mind a lot of strategy and thinking. And there's tons of ways to call. The expansions like add so many more things to think about if you want to make the game more complex. One of the most strategic deck building experiences you can have up there, and I just love it. That is Core World, my number 33. Then at number 32 is a recent love of mine from Button Shy. This is Rove, R.O.V.Eve. This is a spatial movement game where you have these action cards in your hand, and you are using them to move these little card tiles around on the board to fulfill different configurations, to complete missions. So it is entirely about action management and like a really interesting, quick, engaging spatial puzzle. I love that stuff. There's other games that'll be on the list later that also use this kind of thing. But Rove is absolutely fabulous. My favorite Button Shy game, my favorite small game probably of all time, the one I would maybe recommend the most on this list because it's so inexpensive to pick up, that is Rove, an amazing solo-only card game, and my number 32. And then number 31, this might be the highest ranked legacy like nostalgia pick, and this is Magic the Gathering. Magic the Gathering. This I was a big role-playing game fan when I was a little kid. Like my brothers would play World of Darkness role-playing and early Dungeons and Dragons, so I would play like that stuff with them or watch them, or honestly, I would just like read the source books and geek out that way. But Magic was one of the things that really pulled me into the more like hobby side of things. When I was in middle school, I was playing a ton of it. And then it's just come back again and again, over and over again over the years. And here's the thing, like I totally think it's been done better now. Like I like some of the LCGs better. I might even like Netrunner better in a way. Or, Hearthstone or things that are digital only. But I had to put Magic here because it's come up in my life so many times. Like I'll play Magic Online or Duel of the Planeswalkers like every year or so. I'll just play them again. It's one of the first games that I really got hugely into when I was young. And I think it is so ridiculously influential on the gaming landscape. It cannot be overstated. And it's still alive. Like it's still huge. Crazy. So yeah, I had to give it a place of honor. That is number 31, Magic the Gathering. And holy crud, I really wasn't kidding. This is the like deck building, bag building portion of the list. They're all in here. This is number 30, Warp's Edge. This is a solo only bag builder where, like Heroes of Tennefer, I really like this mechanic. You are getting level ups for your bag in this case, or deck, from defeating people. Again, great tactical play. You can kind of see some of the things I like. Great variety in the bosses and the ships, especially if you get the expansions. The Anomaly expansion gives you like lots of ways to change up the difficulty and gameplay. Adore this one. I don't know of any game that gives as good of like a zero to hero feel, which is again what I love from deck building and bag building a lot of the time, than Warp's Edge. Fabulous game, my number 30. Next at number 29, to throw some Euro love out there, is Ark Nova. I have not played this solo. I've heard that the official solo is meh, and that, what is it, like the Arno solo variant that Colin did a video of is quite good. But again, I don't know if I've said this enough on the list. Euros for me tend to be multiplayer affairs. Like, I like the solo, I respect the solo play, but it is never going to be what I pull off the shelf, generally speaking, when I have solo time. I'm going to go for like a more puzzly kind of, Rove style game or a more narrative game. That's just how my tastes run. But yeah, anyway, Ark Nova. Awesome game. I love it was in Civ A New Dawn. I love the mechanic of like cards moving and giving you better versions of actions, like the longer you wait to use them. The polyomino kind of feel of building your place out, the combos of all the animal cards, the way you score victory points in different ways. I think this is a beautiful, brilliant Euro design. Clearly, I'm preaching to the choir. Everybody loves Ark Nova, but I do too. It's not the highest Euro on my list, but it's up there. That's my number 29. Okay, then my number 28, I thought we might have a solo video of this on the channel, but apparently not. This one is Race for the Galaxy, the classic. Of course, everyone knows this one. This is another super influential game that I played to death. I actually played it out too much because I got an app version of it, and this is one reason I don't play board games on apps. I played it so much that I didn't want to play it anymore. I felt like I'd exhausted things and I couldn't play competitively anymore. Yeah, I never loved the solo variant for this one, but for competitive play, it is awesome. Like Ark Nova, awesome tableau building. I love the variety of strategies you can pursue, the action selection and trying to judge what actions other people are going to take. It really makes you involved with the other players in a clever way if you want to do well. So fabulous game, even though I don't play it much anymore. That is Race for the Galaxy, my number 28. Then for my number 27, I guess we're in the Euro section of the list, this is Great Western Trail, and I'm picking New Zealand as my favorite, although I think the video I'm showing is Argentina. We don't have a video of New Zealand yet. Peter and I should probably get on that at some point. There's another one I have not played solo, because I don't really care that much, but at some point I might try it out. But I have heard that New Zealand has a very good solo mode, so I do want to try it. But yeah, this one is great, kind of what is Great Western Trail? It has some deck building. I love that with the sheep in New Zealand's case. It's got fun rondelle movement. Again, great combos. I like the boat movement in New Zealand. I just think it's so clever. It makes me feel clever. And yeah, this is just awesomeness in a game. One of my favorite Euros of all time so far, just like the series in general, but specifically New Zealand. That's Great Western Trail, my number 27. Next at number 26, just outside the top quarter of the list, is a very recent one, SkyTeam, one of my favorite games from last year. This is a two-player, dice placement, limited communication cooperative game where you're trying to land an airplane. Love the theme here, love the quick setup. It is never not fun to play this game, and they have huge variety in the airplanes and the different modules you can include. It's quick, it's cheap, it's great. The production design is awesome. I just love everything about this one. My family likes it. My kids like it. There's great solo variants on BGG, unofficial ones that work awesome. So yeah, can't recommend this one enough. That is number 26, SkyTeam. Okay, then at number 25 in the top quarter of the list is one of my favorite bidding games and another classic from my youth, or not my youth. I think I was playing this when I was 19, 20 maybe. And that is Ra. This is another Reiner Knizia bidding game where you are basically, it's kind of like push your luck. You are waiting for tiles to be drawn, and when it's your turn going around the table, you can choose to start a bid or not. So you're kind of pushing your luck, and if I wait too long, will it be too valuable to that other person? Do I want it to be too valuable to them so that they'll use their bidding tokens at the wrong time because you run out of chances to bid, ability to bid? So yeah, this is just a delicious game. I love that. I think it got a recent edition. I know it got a recent overproduced edition. I have no idea why. Somebody would want to pay $100 for Ra, but I think they also printed a nice cheaper edition, which is certainly what I would recommend. Yeah, one of the best bidding games out there for my money. That is Ra, my number 25. Then at 24 is Quacks of Quedlinburg, the competitive sort of race victory point game with bag building. I like bag building. And this one is so high, partially because my family loves it. It's a great, quick beer and pretzel kind of game. The combos you get with the different tokens are awesome. If you add in the expansions, the variety in tokens and like sort of builds and strategies you can pursue are great. It is super lucky based. It is entirely push your luck. It is random. Who wins or loses often won't matter. There's unofficial solo modes. I did a video of one. They're not good. Like, definitely play this with people who are ready for some goofiness and might lose without crying about it. If you get a group together like that, like my family, it is just a blast. It is so much fun. So much fun to bag build and pull and groan and cry. I like that chaos and that randomness sometimes. You'll see that on some other games coming up in the list. But yes, that is my number 24, Quacks of Quedlinburg. And let's keep the bag building, deck building train going because this is another deck builder. Tyrants of the Underdark. This is a deck builder mixed with an area control game. And gosh, I just love the play of this one. The variety in decks you can like build. This has one of the coolest deck building mechanics I've seen for culling, where culling gets you victory points. You kind of like want to call your best cards, but of course you don't because then you don't have your best cards. The area control is interesting and tense. It plays well, I think, at all player counts. Like, it's a area control game that works well with two. And, not to toot my own horn, but I made a solo mode for this that is super well received and has been one of my most popular, like, enduring solo modes out there for an unofficial variant. So yeah, I think this is a great game, and I love it solo or competitive. That is my number 23, Tyrants of the Underdark. And then my number 22, almost done, just didn't make it into the top 20, and this is the Gloomhaven series. I'll put Jaws of the Lion as my favorite, so let's call this Jaws of the Lion. So Gloomhaven, obviously very famous dungeon crawling system. What's interesting is that I hadn't played this in a while. We tried Frosthaven and bounced off it, like my main group, really hard. Like, we just wanted to play other campaign games more. So yeah, I was kind of soured on Gloomhaven, but then I played Buttons and Bugs, a demo at PAX Unplugged. That's the solo only one. And I was like, oh man, I forgot how much I love like the core kind of card play combat system of Gloomhaven. I don't love the campaign sometimes. I don't love the story a lot of the time. Having played Jaws of the Lion, I hate going back to Gloomhaven or Frosthaven and having to like deal with putting out tiles and stuff. Like, it is just such a bear to get to the table sometimes. So I do think like Buttons and Bugs might take this spot for the top, for the 22 spot. But for tactical combat glory, it's hard to beat Gloomhaven's combat system and like those card play. Like, yeah, there's frustrations to it and randomness and stuff, but I still just really, really enjoy it. And I will say this, what also Buttons and Bugs reminded me is that I like it solo. My best time with base game Gloomhaven was playing it solo. Whenever I tried to like play in a campaign, like with Jaws of the Lion with Peter and Jerry, I don't know, I just kind of ran out of steam. So yeah, for me, it's a solo only game probably at this point, and Buttons and Bugs I'm super excited for, but it made it all the way up to number 22, Gloomhaven. And then finally, what's the last awesome game that's not quite in the top 20? It is Heat, Pedal to the Metal. This is another recent one, but I've said many times this is now my favorite racing game, and racing games are a genre I really like, so that is saying something. It's so quick. I love the solo play. I love the competitive play. I love that you can just throw extra cars in very easily without slowing down the game. The card play choices are great. I'm very excited for Heavy Rain, the first expansion for it. I like how they do turns. I like how they the garage module where you get to like customize your car. The only thing that's like not great is that it's a little wonky to change up the difficulty of the solo bots. But besides that, I have almost no complaints about this game. It is awesome. My favorite racing game of all time at this point, and my number 21 on the list. So there we go. That is almost it. We have one more to go, 20 through 1. And, I think, honestly, the 20 through 1 will probably be the least interesting video if you've watched the channel, because y'all know at least like 10 of them, if not like 15. There aren't going to be too many surprises here. But thanks for watching, everybody. Let me know if you have any comments, any games you're surprised were here, or games you're surprised weren't here. And we'll see you in another week for the end of the road. Bye-bye.